Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Okay, let me just get logged into iLearn here. I did add a revised schedule for the syllabus to iLearn. So if you haven't grabbed that yet, it's in week 8, which is the current week, and it's at in the usual place. You can find the syllabus up at the top of the page, the iLearn page.
Yeah,
And
I just took a look at that.
sorry? You
Yeah, I
just
just
took a
saw
look at
that.
it?
Mhm.
I'll explain what's happening as soon as I get logged in here. Then I can share my screen. Okay. You can see my screen, right?
Yep, looks good.
Oops, wrong one. Okay, so the schedule. Let's look at that first. Okay, I'm just down to where we are currently. Well, I'll go start with last week. Okay, so we are in the middle of this Earth Sciences workforce report, research and writing that you've been doing, or not so much writing as recording what you found so far. And Monday we talked about formatting reference lists and how to organize the reference lists as well. I also mentioned how to cite references within the text of what you're writing too. And there are examples in this document here that I set out for you, the references template. So that includes a bunch of examples on, I'll just open it. It lays out, you know what, this doesn't look like my updated copy. I think I have a better one for you. I could have sworn I switched that, but let me just double check that. It's not looking like it has enough bullet points there. That would be down here. Yeah, it doesn't look right. So let's see, what did I do? I want to make sure you download the right one. I've got to switch this to editing. And then let me drop this. Oh, maybe I put it in this week. Maybe that's what I did. I bet I did. That's not it. Okay, well, never mind. I can put it in both places, or you can go here. Let me delete this one. And you please download this one. Or if you already had a copy, please just delete that one and use this one instead. Okay, back to that. Okay, so I lay out a bunch of just overall rules, guidelines for how to cite references, and to include the references cited section at the end of your report. Then I give you just a short list of examples here of how to format different things, including journal articles, books, and online things. Now, notice that there's this GSA reference guide. This is the much more detailed guide that includes like basically every example you could wish for. So if you come up with some chapter in a book and you want to cite that, there's going to be an example in the GSA guideline. But these are the main ones you'll probably refer to. And then at the very end, I've just got a quick summary of how to cite a reference at the end of a sentence, at the start of a sentence, or even in the, or if it's like two examples at the beginning of a sentence, mid-sentence, or whether you've got multiple papers cited. And then I have a note down here that explains what we did in class on Monday, which was to go through and make some decisions about how to correctly order references in a references cited list. I lied. That is not the references cited instruction. That is here. Sorry, hang on. I know I've got here this note: list papers by the same authors in this order: first single author, then two author, then multi-author papers, etc. That's for the references cited. But then when you're talking about in the text, it's slightly different. You go from oldest to newest, so chronological order, and then alphabetical. So it's kind of switched that way. I don't know why it's different, but it is. Anyway, so that's your quick reference for the references. Any questions about that? I mean, we went through it in quite a bit of detail on Monday. So if you weren't in class, I recommend that you look at that recording. Questions?
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Is it just you, Dennis? Or are there others here? Oh, there's a few others here. Okay. Wow, it's kind of light attendance today. All right. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. We'll see if others show up.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it really stays just the three of us. Oh, it's because it's spring break, I bet. In part, spring break is coming and today's the last
Maybe
class.
people are celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, is that
But you
today?
can't go to bars, can you?
You can still drink.
You can, yeah, you can still drink. Drinking
Yeah.
home alone. Yeah, okay. Okay,
I don't
so,
in the morning.
sorry, what'd you say?
I don't get how people go hard with the drinking in the morning. Like,
Yeah, well, it is afternoon now, so.
yeah.
Okay, then research paper guidelines. Okay, so I wanted to give you some, this looks very similarly formatted to the other thing we just looked at, which is probably what I was thinking of when I went back and looked at that references thing. Let me shrink this a bit so we can see it. You know, that a little bit more. Okay, can you see that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not okay. You
It's
sounded
a little
hesitant.
small,
Yeah,
I'll
it's a
go. I'll go
tiny
up a notch.
I could use. Yeah, that's fine.
looks good.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to give you some just guidelines on how your report is going to be formatted, and then we're going to spend some time just looking at the scaffolding document that I gave you and how to transform that into sentences, how to turn those facts into paragraphs. And I just realized that I wanted to add, let's see, where are my notes? No, not that. I wanted to add just, well, actually tell you what, I'll get there when we start looking at the scaffolding thing. Okay, so I want you to have a title, and I've kind of formatted this document in a way that I want you to format your report. So title at the top, your name underneath. If you were to use MLA, that's fine too, but I'm giving you something simpler here. And you can honestly just turn this Word document into your report by, pasting in stuff in place of these instructions. Okay, so title. I want to make sure that you include your name at the top of the written report and in the electronic file name. And to give this some teeth, because even halfway through the semester, folks still aren't doing this, I'm going to take points off this time if your name is not in two places. You gotta be harsh. Okay. the report should be 2 to 3 pages long, not including the references cited section. And I want you to use anywhere between single space to 1.5 space, but not double space, not anything more than 1.5 space. Whatever is to your liking. So if you need more space and you want to go single spaced or 1.2 space, like that's fine. Use 1-inch margins on all sides of the doc. I want you to use no smaller than an 11-point font and no larger than a 12-point font. And one of these 4 font styles. And this is because these are some of the smaller, at least these include some of the smaller font styles. And I want to make sure that, you know, it's pretty standardized. I want you to use headings. So below I've got abstract, introduction, headings for the body of your report. I want you to use styles for the headings. So use all caps or small caps or bold and underline type or just bold type, something to distinguish each and every section. It helps the reader, it helps you organize your writing, but it also helps the reader know, it's kind of like an outline, you know, it helps the reader know where they are within the paper. If it's appropriate to use subheadings within these sections, like let's say, I'm imagining that it might be appropriate in the body of your text where you might organize your report by reference. So like you might refer to Sanchez et al. And that goes through whatever list of statistics. And then you've got a second report or second reference that you're using. And that goes through various bits of facts. You can organize it like that, or you can organize it by topic. It kind of depends on what the whole paper's about. And I'll let you decide what seems most appropriate. If there's a third way that you think of that you would like to organize the body of the text, you can do that, make sure it makes sense, or run it by me first. Within the body of the text too, so, and I'll talk about the details here, like what to include here, but you know, you're going to introduce what the topic is for that paragraph. You're going to list some results that you found. Those are your facts that you're going to transform into paragraphs, into full sentences, and then into paragraphs. And then you're going to draw some kind of conclusion toward the end of that paragraph. And of course, you're going to cite your sources that you use within that. And you're basically going to repeat that format for the second reference and the third. So it's going to be like minimum 3 paragraphs because, well, if it's done by reference, it'll be minimum 3 paragraphs for the body. If it's by topic, you know, you're going to have to break it down into paragraphs. Even if it's one topic, it'll have to be broken down a bit. But, you know, do what makes sense based on what you're writing about. Now, if you're talking, you know, this works the same way if you're talking about organizing it by topic. And I should actually copy this and paste this down here too, because it applies that you need to cite your references for whatever you're using in these various topics too. Okay, so think of some way to organize that. And then I want you to include some kind of figure or table or multiple figures or tables that support your writing. This makes a lot of sense, especially if you have a lot of numerical data. Even if you're writing about it, and you should write about it, even if you present data in a table, you're going to want the table as an easy way to kind of summarize what you're reading. It's harder to organize those facts when you're reading a paragraph than you can in a table. I expect that you will take a screenshot or copy a JPEG or something off of the web or from a reference paper to use for the figure or the table, that's fine, as long as you cite your source. And I should have included something about, so you would do something like write from Leach et al. 2005 at the end of your caption that you're going to write. And we'll talk about captions too. If you change it, of course, you can add modified from or something like that. And no brackets. I'm just giving you an option there. Or
I was going to say we could even use the table that we might find at one of those sources that you gave us and like make a graph of it like in Excel or something.
Totally. Yeah. If you want to make your own, that's great. And then in that case, you might say, data from, and then it's your own figure, but the data you collected from a source. Okay. And this happens pretty frequently, and that's why I'm adding this. Like when you find a table or figure, oftentimes they use that for a lot of different reasons, or they're referencing that figure or table for a lot of different reasons. And it may have abbreviations or extraneous information that's not relevant to what you're writing, but you should still identify any abbreviations that are used in the figure so that the reader knows what the heck they're looking at, or anything else that needs to be identified. Okay, so that's kind of the body. Then you're going to have some kind of discussion and conclusions. So this could be one section. This could be a discussion and conclusion section in which you're mixing interpretation and the conclusions that you're drawing from what you're reading. Or you can have a discussion section and then a conclusion section that's much shorter, and that it could even be bullet points. It's a much shorter summary of what you talk about in the discussion, including data from that you might have presented in a table too. Key points, not like recreating it all. You will have a references cited section at the very end, and this can spill over into page 4 if it needs to. You want to cite a minimum of 3, but maybe aim for more like 5 sources. Again, this depends on what it is you're looking at. You're not necessarily going to be able to find 5 sources on the specific topic that you're looking at. But if you don't be afraid to include those, it's only going to help you to write your paper, honestly. The only danger of including too many is that you're losing focus. And I don't want you to lose focus. I want you to keep this a streamlined paper where you've got a topic, stick to the topic, don't stray too far, because otherwise you're going to go down all kinds of tangents and it will become unwieldy. Make sure you're following the GSA guide for the formatting of the references cited. You're going to use this similar style. Don't forget to indent all lines after the first. I'll add that. Oh, I did that on the very last. Look at that, how organized. Indent all lines after the first one. And that's it. This top part is obviously not part of the formatted report like I was describing. That just gives you kind of like the ground rules. Then, so it's just this part, the title and your name, and then abstract, intro, the body text, discussion and conclusions, references cited. So it's pretty straightforward, right? We're not talking about methods because you didn't do a study. You're doing a review of other people's studies. So you don't need to include a methods section. I could see, I was thinking about whether or not you wanted to have a results section, but then I kind of decided that that's actually covered in the body text here, because you're going to be summarizing the facts that you gathered there. Okay, whoops. I feel like I just had one more thing I was going to say and I just forgot what it was. Don't forget page numbers. Oh my God, that is such a big pet peeve. You got to have page numbers, even if it's just a 3-page document. You got to get in the habit of doing page numbers, because there's nothing worse than reading a paper and being like, what page am I on? Like, oh my God, where am I? And it's annoying. And it's something that people forget all the time. Just like adding your name to the documents. Okay. Questions about all of this? Amy, I saw you hopped on there. We're talking about this document right here in week 8 on iLearn. It's the research paper guidelines. Actually, you know what? Let me drop in the chat the most current version of that, because I just updated it. Oh, that's not it. Well, okay, there's this document that we already discussed, and then there's this document that we just discussed. So those two you will want for today. So no questions? The abstract, I talked about working on abstracts yet. I just realized, I think I was gonna talk about the schedule before I did this. I didn't mean to do this, but there you go. I got distracted, I guess, with my own brain. The abstract, I will talk about that after spring break. Let's go back to this schedule that is now ginormous. We can do smaller than that. Come on. Okay. So there we are. So going back to the schedule, we're here right before spring break. We're going to talk about transforming what you found so far into paragraphs, and follow some rules about how to write succinctly and to write with an active voice. I'll give you some reminders there. After spring break, that's when we'll talk about, it's the week after we come back. So the week that we come back from spring break, I'll talk specifically about figures, tables, and figure captions. So writing your own figure captions for these. I don't want you to just use somebody else's figure caption, because it really should be specific to your report. And I can explain that in more detail then. I do want you to turn in a reference list. So this would be essentially your references cited section. I want you to turn that in after spring break. Sorry, I got something in my eye. That means if you don't already have all of your, or at least your 3 to 5 references, that you should work on that over spring break. I'm not making this due. I'm not making a draft due right after spring break, because I'm not evil. And plus, some of you probably have to go on, not have to, but get to go to Death Valley with John Caskey. Does that apply to any of you guys?
No, it doesn't apply to me.
Huh. I'm surprised. Well, that's good, I guess. Either I guess you haven't had field methods yet, or you already have had field methods. Okay. So let's see, there's that. So I want you to turn the references list in then, and I want you to turn it in formatted. So this is your first chance to try formatting and organizing your references list the way that I've been talking about. And I will give you feedback on your references list, because I want to see what you're relying on for this report. And so I will comment on both what you're citing and how you've formatted the references themselves. Then the week, so then that week we come back, you actually get a bonus day off because on Wednesday it's Cesar Chavez Day. So there is no class on Wednesday that week. Then the week after that, this is when I would like a draft of your jobs report due. So this doesn't mean, it just means that it's like all the components are there. It doesn't have to be final. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be, do I want to say this? Spell checked? It would be nice if you could at least like look for the red and green squiggly lines to fix any grammar or spelling. But like, I don't expect your sentence structure to be perfect. This is the version that I want you to, remember how I described sitting down and just like getting the words on the screen or on the paper. I want you to do that, but I do want you to take that extra step and edit your work a little bit, at least, reorganize and make sure you've got complete sentences, that kind of thing. So I do expect complete sentences. I do expect it to not be, it should look okay. It doesn't need to be great. Okay. Then that week we will probably do some peer editing, and I will also try to get you some feedback before the final report is due. And I'm asking for the final report to be due at the end of that week. I think that's going to be enough time as long as you have a decent draft that Monday. So you get the day off for Cesar Chavez Day. So you have some bonus time to work on this, the draft. So hopefully you can spend more time there so that you have time to tidy it up and turn in your final version the Friday that week. So don't add an abstract until we talk about abstracts this week. We will write an abstract in class that this should be a Monday. Oh, well, this is Wednesday. That should be Monday. I'll fix that. So don't worry about that. We'll talk about it. We'll practice it. And you will write your draft abstract in class Monday. Then you can, along with the rest of your report, finalize that for Friday. Okay, so that's the end of the jobs report there. So I've spread that out as much as I think I can and still get the last couple of things in this course that I really want to make sure we cover. And those are some outlining skills. And what we're going to do is apply that to a grant proposal. Remember, we talked about writing a grant proposal that is your own idea. It doesn't have to be your idea. It could be your research advisor's idea, or it could be based on your field camp, or it could be based on some education or outreach that you're doing. Any idea. It could be, you can make it up on the spot, or it could be something that's been simmering in the background, or something you've actually been planning on doing. And it's real, right? We're going to use the GSA guidelines for their graduate student grant proposals, it's a really brief proposal form. In fact, it's difficult because it's so brief. I'll probably let you have more space than they actually allow. Do I want to do that? I don't know. I might take that back. I don't know yet. But it's literally a few paragraphs and that's it. It's not like a big long 2 or 3 page thing. I think you answered 3 different questions. And they're asking you about the proposed research that you want to do, experience doing research, and there might be a third one, but I can't remember exactly. And so you're going to write that proposal to do some research. And then after you get that started, so you'll outline it first, and we'll spend this week talking about it, thinking about it. And then we will start writing the grant proposals. The week after that, you will turn in a draft grant proposal. Remember, they're short. And we will talk about developing a budget and writing a document called a budget justification. And this is based on not only the GSA grad student grant requirements, but also National Science Foundation rules. And so these are kind of like standard things that get included in a grant proposal. So this could definitely apply to each and every one of you going forward in your careers, needing to write some grant proposal, any kind of proposal, but asking for money is a pretty common thing to do, no matter what your field is going to end up being, subfield or type of job anyway. All right, so then you will work on that budget and budget justification. It goes hand in hand with your grant proposal. So basically, you're going to need to think about your budget before you plan the research too. So this is not going to, it's all one big package. So I've included these 3 weeks to think about the same problem. Again, I've stretched this out about as much as I can to give you as much time as possible in class, to make sure that that you have guidance and that you're getting this done when you have help. Okay, then I'll have you submit again a draft budget and justification, and then a final one with some feedback. This would probably be really light feedback and quick changes to turn your draft into a final version. This is not going to be a long thing either. The budget justification is probably going to be a paragraph, and you'll have a table with a few line items and a total. It's really not difficult, but I want to make sure you learn how to do it, because some people think a budget and a budget justification goes like this. Budget, $1,500 for research. Instead of breaking it down for what, because you do have to break it down. And the justification would be I need $1,500 to do all the parts of this research, including blah, 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 blah. Well, that's not how this budget and justification work. You have to be more specific than that. And we'll talk about that, and I'll give you examples. Stop me if you've got questions. And then remember that plain language summaries are becoming more and more common. I've got rock and mineral grit all over my table. My mouse isn't working. That's from Minpet. Because believe it or not, we're doing rocks and minerals online. Okay, now it's not. My mouse isn't responding. Sometimes my pointer just disappears off my screen and I don't know where. Oh, it's not plugged in. It's got one of those. It's got a what's the rude word for one of those things? That thing you have to plug in order to enable the, I'm not going to think of the word, I don't think. It's got one of these where, I'll unplug it to show you. One of those things you got to plug in order to enable an accessory. Anyway. Apparently you guys don't know the word either.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a USB. I don't think that's what it is.
Yeah, I would
That's
just
more
call
just
that a
a thing.
USB.
It's a dongle. That's the word I was trying to come up with. A dongle, yeah, which is not exactly a rude word. It just sounds rude, right? Okay. So plain language summaries. I think what we'll do is I'm gonna have you write a plain language summary of your grant proposal. not using jargon. So this would be like writing it to a member of the general public. I've had to do this and it is really hard to do. I think for your grant proposals, it will be slightly easier to do because it's relatively short. But a plain language summary, you have to use common words, not origin, use mountains, I can't think of another one right now, but there's one. Then, okay, so how summaries do, and again, because this class is about revisions, there are drafts and there are final versions due of all of those, except for the outline there. Then the very last week of class, we will cover geogrammar. So I'll talk about writing about the geologic time scale and how, like, what to capitalize and how, when you're writing about stratigraphy, if you're talking about a unit in the field, you're talking about the upper, middle, lower. But if you're talking about a time period, it's the early, middle, late. And sometimes early is capitalized, but not always. It depends on which geologic time period you're talking about. I'll give you some of those rules. We'll talk about using the SI system of notation, which is necessary for just communicating in science, that kind of thing. And then we'll have the awards competition. So what we'll do is during class, we will review the grant proposals, and I explain, and we'll do them all, even though there are 9 or 10 of you in this class, I think 10. Each of those will only take 10 minutes to review. And the reason I only give you 10 minutes to review each one is, number one, they're short. But number two, when I was on this, a panel reviewing proposals for the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowships, which are these really long, it was a folder full of materials. It was transcripts and letters of recommendation and an application and 3 different essays that were like up to 2 pages long each. It was this huge application, and people, not me, I took a lot longer, but on average, people were taking about 10, 11 minutes to review each of those. That's how much time professionals, on average, not me, spend reviewing grant proposals and other applications, even like job applications. If you think people are spending a long time like looking for all the details, they don't. That's why you got to make sure it's so easy to read and easy to find information. So we're going to do the grant proposal review, and you will score each and every proposal, on a scale of 1 to 5. And, you can use fractional numbers if you want. And then we're going to have an award ceremony. Basically, we're going to compile all the scores. And this is probably going to have to be done on a Monday and Wednesday. So it's going to be a 2-day thing. We'll compile all the scores and then rank the proposals and see who was awarded. And based on the feedback that's given in the reviews, we will award pretend money out of a budget that we've got. So I think the last time I did this, there were 5 different proposals. Like there were a couple of group proposals that didn't work out so well for the most case. So I'm going to discourage that. But 5 proposals, and I think I gave them all a maximum budget of $2,000 or something. Or maybe it was $2,500 or $1,500. I don't remember exactly. We can discuss how much we think this grant proposal should be worth. If we use the GSA, the actual GSA grants, they do average something like $2,000. So maybe we'll stick to $2,000 maximum each. And for 10 if there are 10 proposals, there's usually like a success rate like for GSA grant proposals between 40 and 50%. So I suppose we could have 4 to 5 awards. So we'll have a total budget of $8,000 to $10,000 to give out across the 10 proposals, something like that. Or maybe we'll have a budget of like $5,000 and then make it more competitive. And then as we're deciding how to dole out the money, we have to decide, do we give all of the money that this person asked for their work? Or do we give, do we fulfill that partially so that we can give another award to somebody else, make those kinds of decisions? And we had it was actually really a lot of fun when we did that in class. So I'm looking forward to that. And I hope you guys will enjoy it and show up for the review process and award process too. Okay, who's here? Oh, we scored another person. I think Zeph showed up. Good to see you.
No, I've been here.
Okay, and then so there's nothing new assigned this week. The very last assignment is due the last day of classes, of regular classes, and then finals week. We don't have a final for this course. So instead, what I'm going to do is just give you a final deadline to turn in any last assignments that are outstanding. That'll be your last chance to get any of that work in. If it's really, really late work and we don't have an understanding, like you didn't come to me with a reason for missing this assignment, like you were sick or something, I've talked to a couple people. So if we haven't discussed anything and we don't have an arrangement, then I expect that these will be, the plain language summary, or maybe the final version of your budget justification, or the or I said that already, but not like your references list, and not, something from back in the first half of the semester. I hope that you will turn those things in sooner. Okay, so that is the new schedule that is in week 8 and also at the top of the iLearn page. Are there any questions? I'm just waiting an appropriate amount of time for you to think whether you have a question and to decide whether you're going to ask it. Okay, hopefully that's clear. I think you'll notice too that I did away with remember we had this ambitious goal of these 5 different assignments. Well, we will discuss science, writing, grammar, but we will not have an assignment for it. I did away with the summary. I figured abstracts are summaries, so I did away with that. I wrapped the outlines into the grant proposals and wrapped the reference lists into your jobs report, which are these 2, items 6 and 7. You did all of these things already. So I reduced the total number of actual assignments. And yeah, please notice that I did, so that you at least appreciate that you have a slightly lesser workload than originally. Okay, I didn't change anything else there, so I guess I'll close that. Okay, so I don't know if Manny and Zeph, if you saw this when I was talking about it, just make sure that you grab it. I dropped both of these documents into here. I'll do the same thing with the syllabus, or the syllabus schedule anyway. Where is it? Oh no, that's the PDF. I'll fix that date on the Word document, and then I'll give you the Word document. Is it this one? This one. And I'll put this in the chat too, so then you don't have to actually navigate your way over to iLearn. It is just all right here. So where was it? It was here. This is Monday and this is Wednesday. And then I think it's perfection. I will give you, let me fix the date on it. There you go. Okay, back to, if there are no questions, back to the jobs report, and I will put this, I'm gonna leave this document up. You know, you can have this open on your own computer. I wanted to at least like leave this, the body organization, the text body organization up for you so that you can decide maybe, are you going to organize it by the reference that you found that includes certain data, or are you going to organize it by topic? And then why don't you pull up, did somebody say something to me?
Oh no, I was just gonna ask, the research paper scaffolds that so what we're doing for that is totally different. Is that totally different than what we're gonna be asking for with our proposal?
No, wait, the grant proposal or
Yeah,
yes, this is different.
it's totally different. Okay.
Totally different assignment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This
I was
is
wondering if they're related at all.
they could be, they totally could be, but the grant proposal that you're gonna do, I mean, you could base that on this. You could decide that you want to do outreach based on something that you're talking about here, or that you want to do a study, and so you need money to perform a study that's based on this paper too. So yeah, if you can think of a way to relate the two, go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I may.
Yeah, so I was thinking, you know, if you already had like a senior project that you were working on, or maybe you did a research paper for another class, or you could, you know, your research advisor's work could be the basis of your grant proposal.
Mhm.
It can be or it could be like an education / outreach sort of proposal. It could be, you know, there was one year they had, they wanted to run a science summer camp, like a day camp. That was one idea. And
Yeah,
another
I may
one
relate,
was
but,
like,
yeah, I may
go
relate
ahead.
it to my.
Yeah, okay. So let's see. It was a number of different things. Some people like base it, it was just like some idea, something they just always were interested in and wanted to do. And it just has to be scaled to the budget, because we're going to have a maximum budget of $2,000. So you can't like need to hire a helicopter or travel to the Himalayas. It has to be probably local or done electronically or something like that. Okay, I wanted to, so go ahead and pull up your research paper scaffold document that you've been filling out. And I'm going to pull up, let's see. I started putting together, is that here? I don't know if it's this. I gave you like a list of 3 things that I wanted you to keep in mind as you're writing, to do to, no, that's way too long, to do to shorten your writing and to write with an active voice. Just give me a second to find this. Actually, let me stop sharing so I can not distract you with all that. Go ahead and just take a minute, review what you've got so far. Go ahead and open up like your next paper that you were going to read or the next thing and start filling out some facts. I want you to be, today, I want you to be looking at this section where you have a source and you've compiled some facts based on that source, and you've got some kind of overall topic that that source is discussing. And I will grab this. I know it's here somewhere. I think I also put it on iLearn. Let me just grab it off iLearn then, because I don't think it was it week 7? Yes, it was week 7. So week 7 in bold red, I've got, and I'm going to add these to the job reports guideline, or no, just for today, I will add it to this week in iLearn so that you have it again. I'm going to put it up at the top. Just give me a second. I have to type this up and then save it before you can see it, I think. Okay. Okay, let me save this. All right. So this should show up on iLearn now. Oh, it lost the color, but anyway. So in order to try to write concisely, I want you to, we're gonna take the facts that you've got from each of these sources, and I'm gonna have you, and we'll do this in chunks so that we'll just take like 10 minutes at a time, and we're gonna knock some sentences out here and try to create some paragraphs toward your report. When you're returning these, or now I need to share again because I got to point to stuff. Okay, I want the scaffold. Okay, so when you are, let's just start with whatever your very first source is. You've got this list of facts, whether it's 5, it might be fewer, it might be more, I don't know, but you've got a bunch of facts, and you may or may not have, you may have written it in kind of like just a phrase or a list. It might not even be a complete sentence, but we're going to need to turn those into complete sentences and then organize them, add a topic sentence and a conclusion in order to turn this into a paragraph. And what I want you to keep in mind is what I've got on iLearn here, which is to, first and foremost, keep the subject and the verb near the start of a sentence, okay? So if you're talking about a particular report, you're going to say, you might start a sentence off by citing the reference and say like, Garcia et al. 2018 reported that structure right there keeps the subject and the verb right at the front, because the subject is Garcia et al. 2018, that paper, and then you've got an active verb, reported. It's not just said, it's not just, I'm going to come up with some examples. I don't have any examples right now in my head, but we'll come up with some. So think of that. You want to, don't avoid like the plague or COVID-19, avoid adding the prepositional phrases that are such a habit of everybody's. And I do it myself sometimes. Don't start your sentence, however, therefore, in contrast, for the period, blah, blah, blah. Don't even. Just skip straight to the subject of your sentence. Use an active verb. And I'll go grab the active verb list again. You may also want to open a web page that's a thesaurus, because there's only so many times you can say so-and-so reported before it gets just same over and over again, right? And you don't want that. You want to mix it up, and you don't want to start every sentence the same way. So you're going to need to be a little bit creative on how to write the sentence so that you get the subject and verb at the beginning, but that you're not using the same structure and the same words over and over. You know, at least in the same paragraph, only use reported once. You know, come up with another word like summarized or studied, or you can probably come up with some words to describe like how you might describe what happened, as, you know, how to describe what's in this paper or on, you know, that website. Okay, so we accomplished the active voice with that sentence example, and we had the subject and verb near the start. And then we did not have one of these prepositional phrases. If you find yourself doing it though, remember that I gave you some examples where you can, if you do it, oftentimes you'll find that the subject and the verb come right after that prepositional phrase. Then that's easy. Take the second part of the sentence after the comma, put it at the beginning, or I guess I have to do my hands the other way because you're in mirror view. Flip the sentence, add the prepositional stuff. If it can't be deleted, if you need to keep it, like let's say in the period, you know, for the period 1980 to 2010, if you want to include those dates, okay, we'll add that later in the sentence. Don't start the sentence with that. Trust me, it'll read better that way. All right, so I want you to try to do this. I'm going to, while you get started, I am going to go grab the active verb list, and there's something, maybe the prepositional phrase document, so that you have some examples of those again. Would that be helpful? That list of words that start, or the prepositions that start those phrases, to key you into those, or do you think you have that down?
Yeah, I mean, if we can go over it another time, that would be nice.
Okay, sure. Okay, so let me go grab the active verb. I moved it up, but I also think we included it here. Action verbs. So, oh, I didn't mean to move that. I wanted to just, let me duplicate it and then I'll move it. Okay. Let's put this in week 7, week, top of section 8. Okay. And then we want the prepositions. Oh, we have this too. Let's see what that is. I don't remember this exactly. Oh, all right. That's right. We did that exercise. That's not what I thought it might have been. Okay, so it's not this week. Let's try here. Nope. By the way, while I'm going through this, I know that the structure of iLearn is not very conducive to finding documents all the time. So look at the schedule that I just gave you in the chat and put online. And make sure that you've actually turned in all of the assignments that have been due prior to today, and take spring break and try to catch up on those and turn those in during or after spring break. Okay, so I want to just say action verbs. Okay, so let me put these, I'll put these down here so you can find them. So the action verbs, that doesn't, you still might want a thesaurus, but let's look at these real quick. This was intended originally for use with resumes, but this works as it works anyway for just generic writing. And for this assignment, you might want to talk about communication skills. So presented, observed, specified, reported, proposed, summarized, synthesized, wrote, defined, described. Those are all great verbs to use. They are not the to be verbs, right? You want to avoid the to be, the is, are, was, has, all of those. All forms of the to be verbs are no good. The research skill verbs will help. Identified, interpreted, investigated, measured, organized, researched, summarized, let's see, determined, conducted, conducted a survey, analyzed. There's a bunch of words right in there that I've just listed with a quick glance at this document. Use this document. It will help improve your writing. Okay. So try, when you're tempted to use the passive voice, and we'll look at that next. When you're tempted to use the passive voice, avoid it by referring to that sheet. Okay. Let me go down to this. Okay, so these are the prepositions down here. And so it's phrases oftentimes that start with these words that tip you off that you've, and I use adverb clauses here instead of prepositional phrase and prepositional phrase. So the whole, all together, this applies to whether it's an adverb or a preposition, whatever, they work the same way. So I said, like, over the span of, there's over, in the years, or during the years, there's during, because, although, however is probably here. I don't see it, that's all right. Whereas is here, behind, after, along, except for this, that, and the other, the paper identifies blah, blah, blah. Get rid of the except for this, that, and the other. Move it to the end of the sentence if you need it to maintain the meaning, and then shift the subject and the verb to the beginning of your sentence. Now, I'm not saying you should start from scratch writing this way, because remember, my philosophy that I've been trying to encourage you to do is to just get the words down first. But then after you get the words down, if you spot that you have started with one of these prepositional phrases, can you think of some, why don't you guys think of some examples using these terms? You know you're writing. What do you use when you write?
I mean, just stuff that you not supposed to do, like however, or
Therefore,
therefore, because I think when they use words like that, I'm trying to like complete what I was saying, like in the previous sentence, you know?
you don't need those words to do that though.
Yeah, yeah,
You
I'm
really
seeing that
don't.
now.
Yeah, you really don't. I mean, occasionally they are useful. And sure, you might use them once or twice in a document. That's okay. But if you're like I read some writing and it's like every GD sentence is starts with one of these prepositional phrases and it's like, "Oh my God, just kill me now." I mean, it does hurt actually. It hurts. It hurts to read. Um it's just not necessary. And it is a roundabout way of talking. And I don't think that you talk like that even. I think it's something about writing that you're trying to have a segue or like you're saying, you're trying to continue the thought from one sentence to the next. It is not necessary because the sentences come in a particular order and the thoughts follow on each other. It's not necessary to do that. So I really want you to focus on, get the words down, but then identify the subject, identify the verb. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take 10, probably 15 minutes because, somewhere in there, like 12 minutes, and start with your first source and try to transform this into a paragraph, into sentences. So you might start with the main idea of this subject is. So maybe your introductory sentence, your theme is it a theme sentence? That's not it. It's like close to that. Your topic sentence. See if that you can turn that main idea into a topic sentence, and then turn each of your list of facts into sentences of their own. They could each be their own sentence, or you might combine a couple together. You're not looking for any particular number of sentences yet. I just want you to put these into full, complete sentence form. And then at the very end, you were supposed to include some kind of conclusion about the topic. That can be your final sentence. And let's try to turn those into a paragraph. Well, right now, don't think paragraph, just think complete sentences. So maybe just, you've got the Word document, you can create space, maybe just start down below and start typing your sentences down here. So you can maybe copy and paste some, if you need to paste some facts, you can just paste it right below. And that way everything stays in the same document. You don't have a bunch of things going on. And then after we stop, then I'll have you take a look at what you've written and to see, have you used some of these prepositional phrases? We'll identify the subject verb and we'll fix those sentences to be more concise. Okay. So let's start with this first one and we'll go until 1:25-ish, maybe a little bit before that. Okay, good luck. Again, just get the sentences written. Don't worry about the prepositional phrases right now. If you got to use however, Dennis, you use however.
Well, I'll try not to.
Don't think too much about it. I just want you to get the sentences written. That's all. I'm gonna mute myself so you don't have to listen to the construction noise.
Hey, Mary. No, I can't.
Okay, there I go. Yes.
I'm just having some trouble deciding what to focus my research question on. Like, I was looking at salary statistics for meteorologists, how they differ by state. And then I looked, if how they differ uh, in state, like, per city. But I feel like a lot of
Like
it is
by
probably-
major city sort of thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I could do that. Yeah. And I just like I feel like one of the main reasons why they differ is because of like the cost of living. But,
Probably
like,
part of it. Yeah.
yeah. So like, you think, I don't know, I was just wondering if you could kind of help me figure out maybe a different kind of thing to research regarding meteorologists.
Would you mind sharing with me what you've got so far? Could I take a look at your document to help?
Mm-hmm. Oh, do you want me to just put it in the chat, or do you want me to?
That would be great. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So, so do you have any other ideas besides salaries?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm not really too sure what else to research about them, even though I do find meteorology interesting.
Do you want to look at the demographics of who goes into meteorology?
Okay.
Whether,
Yeah.
whether they have degrees in meteorology, whether they tend to have, whether people who get hired in that field tend to have bachelor's or master's level degrees.
Okay. Yeah.
That's, I guess that's the first thing that comes to mind, because the salary goes hand in hand with that
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, at least.
Yeah.
These are great salaries, by the way.
I know. But thank you.
Sure, try that next.
Yeah.
I would try the AGI and, again, Bureau of Labor Statistics also.
Okay.
Go back to, is it week 6 or week 7 on iLearn for those links? I've got a link for meteorologists there.
Mhm.
Week 6.
Yeah, so I was looking at this, and then it doesn't.
Oh,
is
wait.
her focus just on meteorology, or is it?
I'm sorry, I didn't include meteorology. Let me go and find that right now.
Okay.
Here we go. Okay, I'll add the link to the iLearn page.
Thank you.
Sure. Here, so that you have it right sooner, I put it in the chat for you.
Cool. That'd be really helpful. Thanks.
Good. And job outlook, I would add that too. Like, do they foresee having more jobs in the next decade, or is it on the decline? That kind of thing too. Because that's all part of this data on the BLS sites. Oh, this is really, I found something really good. It's linked from the page I just sent you, but you've got to make sure you see this page too.
Mhm.
I just added it to chat. It's like by industry, what kind of, what industry will you work in as a meteorologist?
Would focusing on the outlook just for me, the meteorologists in general, that would kind of encompass like a lot of it, right? Like I guess the job opportunities and the wages and yeah, just like future predictions and stuff like that. Like so
Yeah.
research be
You
like,
know,
what is the outlook for meteorologists in the next 10 years?
yeah, I would. So, I mean, you could, first of all, I would jot some data down. Like you might start with some breakdown of salaries, then do a job outlook breakdown, basically kind of summarize this. No, am I on the same page that I sent you to? No, I'm on this page now. So I'm on the job outlook page, which is this one right here. You could summarize what's there. You can summarize how that's broken down by subfield or your employer, like whether it's the federal government or whether it's TV broadcast or something like that, academia.
Mhm.
Yeah, but they're all kind of working, they go hand in hand, right? So I would just start adding some facts for each of those categories and see how it fits together.
Okay. Well, for some reason, I wasn't able to see the projections link you sent me. I'll try this one. I'll try the one you sent after.
Oh, you might copy and paste the link into your browser. Maybe it's just like maybe it broke on the wrong spot.
Oh, okay. Let me try that.
mean, they're all, it's all linked from the page that I originally sent you. So if you just look down at the bottom, there's a place where you can get data, and there are links for job outlooks and stuff down there. It was like the first things I noticed.
Oh, I see it.
Oh, I went more than 15 minutes. Sorry, y'all. Okay. Do you want more time? Do you want to just work to the end of class, or would you like to stop and talk about breaking your sentences down some more? Time sure flies. You tell me how you want to spend the time.
I'm liking this time.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting
Everyone
more-
good with that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. Okay, I see that amazingly class time is basically already up. That seemed to go very fast, at least it did for me. I want to point out a couple of things real quick before you go. Number one, the scaffolding document needs to be complete when you come back from spring break. So you need to at least have your sources identified. You know, your reference list will be due that Monday. And you need to have that complete so that we can write those paragraphs and start your draft, because it'll be due a week after you come back. All right, so you need to make progress on that. Now, make sure, I want you to notice, and I'm adding a few extra links to iLearn so that you don't miss these. On the Bureau of Labor Statistics sites, there are links that take you to different areas of data. There are these occupational outlook handbook data sets that break things down, and this is for geoscientists, but all of the job categories have these. Breaks it down by pay, job outlook, state and regional data. And there's also employment data by industry. And again, like these are all things that are linked from one page to the next. So job outlook gets you to this page, and you can go to employment by industry, and get the data for that. That's this page, and it's all downloadable. You can download it and open up the data in Excel spreadsheet, I think. But I just wanted you to notice that I'm not going to add all the links for every single occupation. I just want you to see that they are available. And I'll add a note here that says that for any of these categories, you should be able to link and find these equivalent pages for the different subfields within geoscience. Okay. Good luck. Have a good spring break. I bet you aren't traveling anywhere, or probably not anyway, but I hope that you enjoy the break from classes for a while anyway.
All right, thanks, Mary.
Thanks, Mary.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mary.
See you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, have a nice break.
Thank you.